He is more man than a mere mortal. He is a collector of skulls. He is from the land of fire and ice. He is the last warrior, Greywolf.
Oh, woo. Thank you for that splendid introduction, gentlemen. Much appreciated.
Anything for you, Greywolf. And I am your illustrious, esteemed prophet.
It's good to be on here again with you, Rick.
As it is with you, sir. Carry on, Huckabee, carry on.
Greywolf on the line with us. And also turns out that we have, well, I guess you could call him one of our favorite co-hosts. He is the genius behind the Undisputed Wrestling Show, but he is also the manager for Greywolf, the prophet, Rick Craig. So how are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Doing very well, actually. Caught me in the middle of training. I'm actually at the world-famous Monster Factory right now. Just got done running a few drills with some of the students, and pretty soon going to be right back to running more drills again. So train as usual. So I'm doing excellent.
That's really awesome, man. It's so cool because, of course, you know, Danny Cage at the Monster Factory is always, you know, he's like a social media guru. He's always uploading videos and stuff of training going on at the Monster Factory. Since you mentioned that you're training right now, I wanted to ask you, what do you guys do as far as training goes that really makes guys who come out of the Monster Factory some of the best wrestlers, not only on the East Coast, but in the country?
Well, you know, we don't just focus on what happens in the ring because, you know, in the wrestling business, much of what goes on happens outside of the ring. So what a standard training session here physically would look like is you come in, usually start with about 10 minutes worth of cardio, you know, running in circles and, you know, with high knees and, you know, shuffling back and forth and, you know, sort of jogging and things to get some blood moving, get some cardio. Then about 5 to 10 minutes of stretching. After that, we'll do usually Hindu squats, Hindu push-ups, crunches, followed by a series of up and down setting drills, where you get in position and get back on the ground, get in position, get back on the ground, then just maybe 100 jumping jacks or so. Then we have 2 rings, which the students all line up, and they'll do rows from one ring inside, you know, one ring, and then hop from one ring into the other, do some more rows. So, you know, then there'll be a series of rows like that, several sequences. After that, what will usually happen, this is what we just got done doing, is in one ring, they'll drop down to all 4 corners, and then transfer over to the other ring and do drop downs with us, and we'll run over them as they're doing drop downs. And right now, I'm not sure what they're running, but then we'll get into more advanced sort of drills depending on what the students' levels are. But that's not, you know, that's just the physical aspect of it. And so training will probably go on tonight until about 11:30 to midnight. Right now it's about 9 o'clock, so you figure we start about 8 o'clock. So your trainings usually last about 3 to 4 hours. And we also teach promos, etiquette outside of the ring, and psychology. You know, anything that relates to the wrestling business, we sort of coach here and there. But what I'm talking about right now just is all we do physically, and that's in a night's work.
Now let's go to the better hand and stuff, man, because the Prophet is your manager. He escorted you to the ring and everything. How did that come about? I'm gonna ask you, Rick. Rick, how did you end up approaching Greywolf about being his manager?
I tell you what, guys, Greywolf and I go back a while, and I'll tell that story after Greywolf gets back to his training. But Greywolf this Saturday with myself, he will be making his wrestling debut in the state of Indiana, his Hoosier debut at Intense Championship Wrestling Pro in Marion, Indiana, my home promotion. I consider an incredible honor to be someone who brought Greywolf to Indiana. This is his first trip here. I'm looking so forward to it. It's going to be a fun night for everybody who comes down to watch him. He has always been a class act and always loved by all the fans that watch him, and it's going to be my privilege to be able to walk down the aisle with him that night.
Now, Greywolf, I'm going to ask you, how does it feel, you know, what's the difference between going to the ring by yourself and having a manager and having somebody outside the ring, you know, looking after your best interests?
You know, when you go down to the ring by yourself, you always have to watch your back. You always have to look over your shoulder. You're not sure, you know, who has a vendetta against you or who might come out to the ring, try to interfere, distract you. You know, you're always watching over your shoulder. I mean, when somebody's out there with you, it provides that just more of a little bit of relief because, you know, you don't have to be watching over your shoulder as well as focusing on your opponent in the ring. So it takes a little bit of the anxiety, you know, of the contest off because, especially coming into a new promotion, you know, I'm not sure, you know, if somebody's been watching me or somebody's going to be angry. I want to interfere in my match, so I really got to be watching my back that much extra. And it really helps to have somebody like Rick Craig, who's familiar with the locker room, who's familiar with all the people, really watching out for me. So I don't even have to worry about that, and I can focus on the task at hand and, taking another skull and putting it on my mantle, which is the objective for the day.
And Greywolf knows, Mr. Huckabee, that I've got his back. Because, like I said, we go back, and there's stories I will tell of Greywolf for a little while. But this Saturday, he knows I've got his back. He's here to visit, my home state, and I'm going to make sure he is bestowed all the greatness that he deserves, and I will be watching his back.
Okay, so psychology-wise stuff, Greywolf, what's the difference between when you got to put together matches and stuff, and you're in the back and you're thinking about what's going to happen, when you step to that curtain? Is there a different mental state that you have to be in when you have a manager?
I don't really want to say it's a different mental state as much as it is, everything in wrestling is telling a story. And it's just another component, another cog in the wheel that you add to that story that you're trying to relate to the people. Every different little element that you add in could, tell a different part of the story. So that's just another part of the story that you have to include. It's no different than including a different character in a chapter that you're writing in a book. It's no real different in writing the book, aside from the fact that you just have to include another character. So it's not really a different mind state as much as it's just a different dynamic to the story that you're trying to tell to the people. So, of course, anything that happens out there, no matter who's out there, whether, throw anything out there, whether somebody brings a dog to the ring, a child, and, one person's heel and one person's, a baby face, no matter what it is, any little dynamic is going to add something a little bit different to the story, and that's the story you're going to try to convey to the people. So it's just a matter of, I don't even want to say changing the story, just making it adapt and fit so that everything makes sense.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. You can find us on the Angry Mark podcast. You can also download us, on iTunes or your Google Play Store, or you can actually find all of our episodes, including the one with yours truly before I became a host in the show, at the Undisputed Wrestling Show.weebly.com. And with that being said, gentlemen, I'm going to pass you over to Kevin Sullivan's favorite referee, the man himself, Sign God. Sign God, what do you have for our guest tonight?
Well, thanks to both of you for showing up here on the Undisputed Wrestling Show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Greywolf, as the Prophet mentioned, it will be your first trip into the state of Indiana. Have you done very much scouting of potential opponents should you decide to make Indiana a regular appearance?
I really haven't done as much as far as scouting, more or less. Just focusing on the task at hand, focusing on the opponent that I'm going to be in the ring with, and just worrying about this weekend coming up. Later down the line, I'm sure, should I make Indiana a regular venue for me, I most definitely will be scouting a lot more talent. And I'm sure I will as I make acquaintances and make friends this weekend, and start to get to know different people in the locker room. I'm sure I'll begin that even then. But as far as this weekend, I'm really focusing on the task at hand and really giving the best performance that I possibly can when I come there.
I chose to align yourself with the Prophet Rick Craig going into Indiana. He, of course, has been around that area for quite some time. Did you go through many managers before deciding on the Prophet Rick Craig, or did you know going in that he was the best man for the job?
Well, as Rick had mentioned before, this has been sort of several years in the making. I've been on the Undisputed Wrestling Show many times, and Rick and I have developed quite a friendship over the past couple of years. So it was only natural that when it came time for me to come there, that Rick Craig, would be the one right by my side, and it would only made sense for him to be that one right there. I've had managers before, and usually it was somebody that just gets thrown in with you, or that they need to forward a storyline or something, and there wasn't anything really that clicked or made sense, with the exception of maybe Ring of Honor when we had Prince Nana watching out for us, who sort of brought us in as a tag team when we worked for them. And I'll also mention a few years back, someone who was a very good friend of mine who has since retired, called himself the High Roller, Michael Bushaka. This is going back several years. I just thought I'd give him an honorable mention, so that was sort of a more natural manager-wrestler relationship. But this feels very natural going in, and I think this is just an obvious choice for him to be right there by my side, him being the one who's, really bringing me into Indiana. And Rick, I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to come there and do what I do.
I tell you what, guys, there's nobody I can think of. I mean, there's a lot of great people in this business that I've met and talked to over the years, but no one has garnered as much respect from me as Greywolf. And it is, like I said, a considerable honor for me to bring him to my home state. You know, I've been attempting to do so for a few years. The fit hasn't quite worked out. This time it did. You know, I'm trying to expand my boundaries a little bit, getting into more promoting again, and bringing Greywolf to Indiana, a place he's never been before, and exposing him to a brand new fan base and watching. I know what the man brings. I know what he can do. He's going to get a whole new legion of fans in the state of Indiana that's going to adore him and want him back. And I'm going to, you know, I consider it a great honor to help facilitate that.
And Rick, if I might touch upon something, the honor is in fact mine, first of all. Second of all, there's a few things I've been working on in the ring during training that you haven't quite seen yet, that you might see this weekend, that I hope to debut there. So people might be in for a few treats.
Fantastic.
So, Prophet, do you have any particular plan in place for Greywolf when he gets to Indiana? Do you have your sights set on an ultimate end goal for him?
Greywolf is here for two reasons, besides the aforementioned ones. That is, number one, to collect gold, because it is the battle for gold in Marion, Indiana, this Saturday. Greywolf will be going for the heavyweight championship against the champion Lennox King. Number two, and this is a universal thing for the mighty Greywolf, he is here to collect new skulls, because Greywolf has more skulls he needs to put on his mantle at home, and he doesn't have any Hoosier ones yet. So, Greywolf, I welcome you to collect as many skulls as you choose.
And I thank you. And, you know, to anybody who might be terribly attached to the head, I might afford an advanced apology, because they might have to part with, no, not the whole head, just what's inside of it, because I do have an affinity for skulls and using them in all sorts of matter of decoration and drinking out of them, using them for dishware. You know, there's so many things you can do with a skull, and, you know, I've come to find this, and hence why I've gotten the hobby of collecting skulls. So everyone in Indiana might just want to, you know, watch your heads.
Well, as someone that knows a lot about skulls being attempted to be decimated in the state of Indiana, I think that maybe you should do a little bit of scouting, maybe have the Prophet do a little bit of scouting. There's a lot of talent in Indiana, a lot of big, powerful men. You might want to have some research under your belt when you get there, because there's a lot of great, young, hungry talent there, a lot of big, powerful men.
Now, sign guy, Greywolf already said he's here for one purpose. That is Lennox King. Don't you think
Indeed.
The Prophet would have done all of this legwork ahead of time? Don't you think the Prophet knows the talent base in Indiana, knows who formidable opponents like Drew Skills or Big Russ Jones or Jake Oman or the big powerhouses that are from Indiana? Don't you think I already know that, sign guy?
One would hope so, but you never can tell.
Oh, for crying out loud.
And, you know, I'm sure when I get there, Rick will fill me in on, you know, everybody I have to be wary of and, you know, all the opponents. And as I like to say, this is a splendid time for wrestling. This really is a great time for wrestling. And I'm sure there are many, many great athletes down there, and I look forward to meeting them, because, you know, the talent pool in the wrestling community right now is getting broader and broader, and there's just so many great athletes and so much great talent that are just abounding lately. And I really look forward to meeting them, not only just to be in the ring with good opponents, but to also learn and better myself, you know, by just being around these people. And these aren't people I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of a big, scary man. You know, I've fought monsters all shapes and sizes. That is not a test or a challenge for me. I look forward to meeting these people, and I look forward to working with these people, and I look forward to any challenge they might bring forth upon me, because all it's going to do is make me train harder, make me want to be better, and make me better myself, to be a better combatant, a better warrior, a better in-ring wrestler, so that I can craft my legacy and give the fans hopefully something they can remember for ages.
In all seriousness, guys, before I know Greywolf's got to get back to training here soon and working with, you know, the new students at the Monster Factory. But I want to tell one story real quick, and this is in all seriousness. You know, several years ago, I started transitioning myself from being a fan of wrestling for 40-plus years to pitching my way into the business. First as, I guess, an internet scribe working for a wrestling news site, and then forming my own group. You may have heard of it, Pro Wrestling Obsession. My very first written interview was with the last Warrior Greywolf. I took a look at him on Facebook. Yes, I do. And took a look at him, said, man, this guy's pretty cool, pretty unique. I'd like to interview him. It was a written interview. It wasn't a vocal one like we're doing now. But Greywolf was so gracious with his time, and I bonded with this man immediately. There's people who have a gimmick in professional wrestling, and there's people who live the gimmick. This isn't a gimmick for Greywolf. What you see is what you get with Greywolf. This is the man. He is a real-world Viking. That is the way Greywolf lives his life. And over these years, like I said, I transitioned from Pro Wrestling Obsession to Pro Wrestling Obsession Live, which has now evolved into now what you're hearing today, the Undisputed Wrestling Show. And Greywolf has always been gracious with his time, very thoughtful, very intelligent in his analysis of things. I am proud to be Greywolf's friend. I'm proud to bring him to the state of Indiana. I'll do anything in my power to get this man seen to the masses. I mean, he's been on Ring of Honor, and he's put on a great show with his tag team partner at the time, the Red Scorpion. But you know what? There's a lot of places that Greywolf still hasn't been seen yet, and the Hoosier State's one of them. And someday I'd like him to face-to-face with Congo Kong or somebody like that. It would be an honor to see that stuff. So,
what you may not know is I've been face-to-face with Congo. I've been face-to-face with Congo Kong. I have indeed. It was at a Ring of Honor camp about 3 years ago.
And I'm sure that was quite the endeavor, wasn't it?
It was just the drills we were running, and I ended up working in the ring with him briefly. And it seemed to go very well. You know, Jay Lethal was one of the people there watching, and he really enjoyed it.
He's an incredible talent as well. Big man who's incredibly agile and a great technical wrestler for a man his size and for what he does in the ring. He wrestles, a little bit for Global Force Wrestling with Jeff Jarrett right now. But like I said, I'd love to see that match. Let's headline that match someday. But in all seriousness, it's just about making America and the world aware of this man. And that's my mission. I appreciate Greywolf's talents and what he's done and the way he is with fans and the way he is with the media and people who want to interview him. He's gracious with his fans, gracious with his time. He deserves everything good in this business. He is the epitome of this business, and I will do whatever I have to do to make sure other people are aware of that.
Very, very grateful that you think that and would say that of me. That means a lot, Rick. Thank you.
Well, no problem, buddy. Greywolf, you got your match this Saturday against Lennox King before you head back off to training, and I'll speak, I guess, from this point on after you go to training. What do you got to say to Lennox King? Because you're going to be arriving Friday night here in Indiana. I'm going to be picking you up on Saturday. We're going to head to Marion, Indiana, and Lennox King's not going to know what the heck hit him.
If he wants, I'm going to send him a message, and I hope he doesn't hear it. Why do I hope he doesn't hear it? Because I hope he's training. I'm hoping he's studying tapes. I'm hoping that he's committing himself to this match fully and doing everything in his power that he has to do. For he knows not who he's facing on Saturday. For if he's to take the time to listen to this message, then he's already committed an act of folly. For he's deviated from his path. He's deviated from his training, and he is not focused. Because if he were focused, he would be in the ring, he'd be in the weight room, he'd be studying match tape, he'd be doing everything in his power to combat the force that's about to relentlessly attack him. He is about to be hit with a force so powerful that his life after this match will never, I promise, be the same, and he shall never, regardless of whether he wins or loses, forget the name of Greywolf.
Haru!
Haru!
Greywolf, thank you as always for being a friend of the show. I will see you probably Saturday at some point, Greywolf. Get back to training, and I'll take it from here, brother.
Thank you very much. It's always an honor for you folks to have me on, and I apologize again for having to cut this short. My schedule got conflicted. I didn't realize I scheduled this on the same day as a training day that I had to move because of different reasons. But I apologize again for having to cut it short. But again, thank you all very much. Zane, Rick, Sign Guy, It is an absolute privilege to be included in your program, as usual.